This title is narrated with virtual voice. Computer-generated narration for audiobooks. Bonded to the Wolf by Sophia Martin. Chapter 1. Petra Dahlman had heard of Emmett O'Neill long before she'd met him. A person would be hard-pressed not to, given the man had carved a swath through approximately half the eligible females in the Apex River pack over the years, as well as some whose eligibility was questionable. She didn't really get the appeal, yet another cocky werewolf male, routinely having too much to drink and taking a pretty girl home, then going their separate ways the next morning. She'd never been much of one for one-night stands, though she'd had a few in her time. Anyone who had an oversexed wolf living under their skin as a teenager had given it a try. Many of the werewolves continued the practice long after they'd reached adulthood. Petra just wasn't built for keeping her emotions separate from a physical joining. She always found herself imagining what could happen between them in a future together, even if it was someone she'd only selected for physical satisfaction. The voice in her head that wanted more, at some point in the future at least, always tried to fit the man she was with into the space of her imagined future partner. At any rate, Emmett O'Neill was not someone she planned on needing to try to fit into that space, no matter how good-looking the other females in the pack said he was. She had no interest in a player, not after what had happened the last time she got involved with one, and from what she heard, he was a player of the first degree. And then she met him. And more importantly, caught his scent. Incredibly inappropriately. They were in a hospital room at the time. Her friend Della, the partner of the new Blue Crescent Pack Alpha, Leo Tyler, had come close to magically burning herself out during the fight for him to claim the role of Alpha. She'd been rushed to the hospital, even though there was little they could do other than keep her hydrated and comfortable as she recovered. Petra had come with her own Alpha, Simon, to visit Della, as well as pay their respects to the new Blue Crescent Alpha, who would not be removed from her bedside. Emmett O'Neill had been with him. She hadn't known who he was at the time. She'd rushed to Della's side, checking to see whether her friend had any obvious injuries, as Simon had greeted Alpha Leo. It was then, over her friend's unconscious form, that she'd caught the scent of something. If she'd been in her wolf form, her nose would have twitched as she tried to drag more of it into her lungs. She worked to differentiate it from the hospital scents of disinfectant, and many people, trying to catch the sweet but salty spiciness that taunted her, getting stronger with each breath. "We didn't mean to interrupt," Simon had said. "You didn't," Alpha Leo had replied. "Em was just leaving." "I need to speak to the Alpha, wolf to wolf," Simon said. "Petra, if you wouldn't mind waiting." She'd half heard him say her name, but her eyes had been following the path that her nose took toward the source of the incredible scent, which had led to the man standing at Alpha Leo's side. She breathed in again, able to focus now on the intoxicating scent that seemed to be coming from him, but feeling the expression of confusion on her face that matched the one on his own. He was good-looking, his hair too dark to be honey-colored, but too light to be called brown, and his eyes were fixed on her, and he looked just as confused as she felt. "Petra?" Simon said, reminding her that he'd all but asked her to wait outside. "Yes," she said, hearing the confusion on her face echoed in her voice. "Waiting. I'll be outside." She took one step back from the bed, then another, unwilling to turn her back on the strange, beautiful man whose scent was so alluring. Finally, she had to leave through the door of the hospital room, though she heard Leo say, "I'll talk to you later, Emmett," then add slowly, "and thank you." Emmett. Was this the Emmett O'Neill, the male who had gotten into a punch-up with Pete Haverford after he tried to flirt with Pete's partner at the Deepwaters pub, barely a month past? Sure, he was good-looking enough to fit the legend, and then some, but she'd been unconsciously expecting someone larger than life, maybe 7 feet tall, to be capable of doing the damage he'd done to Pete and still taking a pretty girl home that night. Some mythical Hercules, to have had so many girls chasing him over the years. though maybe that was due to that impossibly delicious
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.